Ladies and gentlemen, you're from me, Adwosa. Today, on this video, I want to talk to you about perhaps the most sensitive topic I could ever talk about. Marrying a man or a woman with children. It is a very sensitive topic and one that I have prayed for guidance and for wisdom from the Holy Spirit to be able to tackle in order not to offend anyone, but to be as honest as possible, as honest as I can, because someone's life, someone's future, someone's marriage might depend on it. When two people meet and they decide to come together in the union called marriage, they come together with their hearts filled with love and plans. Plans of how they want their lives to be, plans of how they want their marriage to be, plans of how many children they might want to have together, you know, and plans of building their whole world with each other or with one another. But whether fortunately or unfortunately, when you fall in love with a man who has had children already, or who has children, or when you fall in love with a woman who has children already, when you are going into a relationship with them, you should know that you are not only going into a relationship with them, but you are going into a marriage with those people and their children, the children they already had before you came into the picture. There is no way you can consider marrying a man who has children or a woman who has children without considering marrying his children and her children too. Because a bema wo ana oba wo no mo kwa ware, they are a package. Untimi nyi papa no enya nkra no ena untimi nyi maame no enya ne ma no. Enti wo kwa ware oba no na wodo no de. But by virtue of say nipa no oye a father already and also oye a mother already no, you have signed a contract to go and love the man and the children, to go and love the woman and the children. Jesus no Thursday theater be if you love me, love my dog. And no one just say your friends say step kids no air to tone crama who they be. Ne mum. So wo domea. Wo dome ne ma yemu nyina. Ade e wo me hu bia. Ade e wo me hu so a ehu hia kese ene emofra o mo free masiaba ana me yafunu mu ma. Most of the times, I am near dream say all you need to be able to marry a man or a woman that has children or to have a blended family is to have love. It's a lie. Before I got married and I learned of my husband's kids, I said to myself, I mean, what better person to be a stepmom than me? Because I've had a stepmom or I've had stepmothers in my life. Because I have experienced how it feels like not to have like my dad and my mom marry. And so how I was treated that was bad, I'm not going to treat those kids in that way. And so it's okay. I'm the best person for this job. Perhaps that's the reason why God has even given me the chance to be a stepmom, so that I can also nurture those kids in love, so that they will not grow up with resentments or they will not grow up lacking any love that they ought to have from their stepmom or from their dad or from their mom. But it's not so. You need to be physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically aware, educated, informed, and son what decided to always step into any relationship with a man that has children or a woman that has children, because it can go west or it can go south. ebetimi akoyi ama wo, ebetimi nso akobone ama wo. Many a times we hear of bad stepmothers. But there are so many women who have become bad stepmothers or bad stepfathers who didn't start off wanting or thinking or praying to be bad stepfathers or bad stepmothers. But omuko rawarim no. Then the pressures and the reality of having stepchildren comes in, where you have to make sure that your stepkids have eaten. Even before you eat, you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you have prayed for your stepchildren like you pray for your children. So imagine this scenario that you get into a marriage with a man who has children already. And the women who had children with this man, they hate you with a passion. They want you dead. And you don't have kids of your own. And this man, unbeknownst to his baby mothers, doesn't even have money to feed. And you, as the woman in that marriage, is the one that is taking care of the man. You would have to take care of his children too. It is not right, but it is what should be done. It might not feel right, but that is how God would want you to behave as a stepmom. They are not your children, but they are your husband's children, and so they are your children. They are not your children, but they are your wife's children, and so they are your children. And you need to treat them with love. You need to nurture them with love. You need to take care of them and show them the same understanding you will show your own. Taking care of stepchildren. There are times and days that you might not be in a mood. There are times and days that you feel inadequate to do that job. But there are also times and days that even as a mom with your own biological children, you will feel like you are not up to the task of being a good mom to them, or you can't be disturbed, or you can't be bothered. But yet you are a mom. And so you ought to step up, kick your feelings to the curb, and do what you ought to for your children. That's the same way when you're raising stepchildren. The feeling is. Sometimes it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes you have the mothers of these children troubling you, troubling your husband. You have the fathers of these children troubling you, the man who has come to marry his baby mother. Anytime you want to correct the children when they go wrong, they pick up the phone and they call their dad. You know, dad, uncle this, because especially in England, you will not have your stepchildren calling you daddy or mommy. They will usually refer to you as uncle or auntie. And so, uncle this, uncle that, or auntie this, said this, told me not to do this. Then the dad comes in to fight you. Then the mom comes in to fight you. You can't treat my kids anyhow. And you might not be treating the kids anyhow. You might be treating them in love. But that's not how we will look outside. When you get into a relationship with a man or woman that has kids, put it in your mind that it is twice the sacrifice. Twice. They say every marriage is hard, but marrying someone who already has children is harder. The kids will test you because some of the kids will try, by the influence of their mothers, to be rude, to be insubordinate, to disrespect you in your own house. And yet, you would have to learn to love them. You would have to learn to understand where they're coming from and show them kindness in the midst of all that. And so I know that it's common to find a man that you love who has had children before. It's common to find a woman that you love that you would want to build a life with who has children before or who has had children before. Sir, my lady, when you marry a mother or you marry a father, you have married their children. And so from day one of the marriage, even if you have not been able to have children with that person, you already have children. And having children means money, having financial issues already. Because to have children is expensive. To raise children is expensive. To give your kids a good future is expensive. It doesn't come cheap. And so you have to factor it in. Say, me kwa aware, abranti a me doni, ana obaye a me doni, o madada. Me to me abuano, amana hwe mofra no financially. Me to me abuano, amana hwe mofra no, like raise them as they ought to be raised. Me to me adom mofra no. Say, if you think that you cannot marry a man who has children, it's not a sin. If you think that you cannot be a stepmom, it's not a sin. It's not a crime. Don't marry a man who has children because you are thinking, okay, when you need, and so because of that, no, oh, worry ne sa. Untimi worry ne sa because onen kra ne nam. So worry ne sa. Ubekwako yen kra no sa. Ubekwako yen kra no basa. And onyankopon pesa. So before you decide, say, ubeye stepmother and ubeye stepfather, no, get your facts right. Sometimes you a konya be mano e fa so a one ni baby mothers ni jaye no, and ni baby mother jaye no. E bia na ni baby mother no onya ne ho ntiase. Sometimes a konya be mano e oba no o fa so one ni baby father e jaye no. E bia na ni baby father no onya ne ho ntiase. And such people can trouble you. And imagine so akwa aware. Na outside of issues are or partner and betimi the amount. Ni baby mother and so much trouble. Ni ma and so much trouble. And I say, ni baby father am out trouble. Na mo frano so am out trouble. Your life and your relationship will be a terrible place. Will be a miserable place. And if you're lucky too, you can meet women who have already moved on. Oh no, yes, one ukunu no na one be ma na wo kware no awo, but ono no waware into any time. So be how adwin or concentrate on their on her marriage. You hear and say you'll be a good mom to Nkrano, and that's it. They wouldn't have a problem with you. Obi ohonso a na ne tia eye na okohia nkra empo ewa abrochi mpo no, instead of calling you the stepdad, uncle, or the stepmom, auntie, the kids will come in and call you mommy. Mommy phone people honoma, they tell their children, when you go and she gives you something, don't eat the food. When you want something, go and ask your dad, don't ask her. When she talks to you, don't mind her. Inti akrana ikono. Already your psyche abofrana tiawo obana or tiawa yenasen. How do you expect to please such a child? Being a stepmom or a stepdad can go both ways. It can go well or it can go extremely bad for you. But either ways, ade ehu hia ne say wo panyini na wo kwa aware na se no a wo decide say oba na wa woda no ono na wodo no no ana abema na wa wo no na wodo no no ubenya adwen pa no wasigina ye pa na ubabo brase de be ya ubenya akade say ubenya nyansa akade say ubenya sika a wo de be boa ahwe sa amofra no a wokoto wo mo aware na se no. Because whether you like it or not, you cannot erase them. You cannot divorce them from their dad. You cannot divorce them from their mom because they are forever a part of that person. And for your own good, you need to love those kids like you would love your own. So if you're here and there's a man who has already had children and is asking you to marry them and you feel you love them, I'm here to tell you that you can't love the man and not love his children. You can't love the man and decide that you will not love his children. You can't love the woman and decide that, oh, her children are not a part of the package. And when you marry a woman or a man who has children, there's no way that as a sensible person, as a loving person, you can go and buy things for the children that you have had with that person and not buy some for your stepchildren. You'll be dividing the family if you do that. So it takes a lot of bravery, a lot of strength, a lot of power to be able to walk into a union with a man or woman that has children already. If you feel you don't have the capacity, don't go and hurt the children or don't go and waste your own time. And so before you decide to marry a man or a woman that has children already, make sure that you are ready for the task ahead. That is, you're ready to be a wife and a mom of children who are not your biological children. And not just be a mom, but be the best mom that you can be to them. Make sure that you're ready to be the best stepfather and the best lover to that woman that you're going to get married who has children already. Make sure that you are financially able to take care of those kids, to provide for them as you would your own children, as a good stepmom or a good stepdad. Make sure that perhaps you even meet the children before you get married. You get it? So that you know if you're feeling the kids or the kids are feeling you. Because if you get into the marriage and the kids are not feeling you and you're not feeling the kids, it will be difficult because you can't kill those children. And it would not be right for those children also to kill you or to kick you out of your marriage or your marital home. So make sure you love them and they love you and they accept you. That's the only way you can move forward and be the best you can as a stepmom or stepdad to them. And then, if possible, if their mothers or their fathers are actively involved in their lives, let's say you are a lady going to marry a guy that has children. If the kids are not living with their dad, but they are living with their mom, make sure that you try as much as possible, perhaps to find out what ended the relationship between your partner and the mother of his children. And then try as much as possible to have a respectable relationship with that woman. Okay? Your husband's baby mother. Because you need to respect her. You need to get her permission. You need to be in sync with her when it comes to raising her kids or raising the kids. Because unbeknownst to you, the kids might be allergic to something. Or there's something that she would not ordinarily give to her children. You need to have all those information to be able to take care of the kids well when they come to do sleepovers or when they come over to their dads. You need to, as a man, have a one-on-one with your wife's ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or your wife's baby daddy. If need be. There are some cases you can decide not to do it, but it is only good and proper, since kids are involved, that you get to know him, you get to understand his perspective concerning certain things, so that as the man in the house, as the new man in the house, you would know how to perhaps do certain things that will not cause a rift to come between you and him. It is difficult to be a stepmom or a stepdad in your beings. So don't kid around. Don't think, oh, wow, but if you do that, you have not helped the man. Wow, and you're if you do that, you've not helped the woman and you have not helped yourself. Mind you, the children are innocent in this whole equation. So please, baby mothers or baby fathers, don't use the children as a pawn against the new man or the new woman in the house. But help them, join forces together, and make sure that the kids have the best life that they can be given under the circumstances. I love you. I respect you. I care about you. This is not my way of forcing my opinion down anybody's throat, but it's my truth. And I feel led to share that it might be able to help someone out there. Sending you lots of love from London. Your friend, your addresser. To be a stepmom or stepdad, in your beings, what? Beware, take notes, be informed before you become one.